Hello and welcome to another episode of Peculiar English from the University of Notre Dame, Australia. And in this series, we look at aspects of English which may seem a little peculiar and therefore can be tricky to use correctly. And today, we're looking at this important verb, suggest. So why is this a little peculiar? Well, mainly because there are some other verbs like advise or recommend, which are maybe more regular, easier to use. I recommended her to go. I advised her to go. I told her to go. But suggest is not used like that. And basically, there are three ways of using suggest correctly. One of them is when you don't need to use the object. You don't need to say who you were speaking to. And then you can just put the verb in ing. I suggested seeing a doctor. In other words, I told that person that it would be a good idea to see a doctor. Okay, so suggest doing something. But of course, when we say that, it's only when we know that the person listening knows who we were talking to. Sometimes you might need to include that person in the sentence. And one way is to use the word should. So you can say, I suggested that she should see a doctor. It's a little bit like the sentence with said. You would use the same form. I said that she should see a doctor. And as with many other sentences with that, you can also omit or leave it out. You can also say, I suggested she should see a doctor. Okay? But one even maybe more peculiar way of using suggest is like this. I suggested that she see a doctor. Now normally with she or he we use S at the end, don't we? She sees a doctor every week. But in this case it's I suggest plus that plus the person, she, he, and then just do. And it's a little unusual, isn't it? Maybe a little bit more formal. Anyway, I suggested she see a doctor is a correct way to use the word suggest. So you have those three possibilities. The main thing to avoid is that someone to do structure. I advised him to do, because you can't use that with suggest. Okay, let's do a little bit of practice. In these sentences, I've just left one space for one word. So I'll give you the sentence with the gap. You can read it just for a moment, and then I'll read it complete. Okay. The student advisor suggested that I take a few days off to recover fully. You could also say that I have a few days off. But the grammar anyway is that one suggests that someone do something. Okay, and then the second one. She also suggested that I should ask for an extension for assessment 2. So again, you can say suggest that someone should do something. Okay, and here is the third one. Finally, she suggested making an appointment with a counsellor. Okay, so that's how we use this slightly peculiar verb suggest correctly. I hope that helps you, because it may seem to be peculiar, but it isn't really.